Hello dear students, welcome to our channel English Wali Ma'am and I am your English teacher Miss Prerna. Alright, so हम सबके टर्म वन एग्ज़ाम्स या तो शुरू होने वाले हैं या तो शुरू हो चुके हैं एंड वी आर गोइंग टू हैव आवर इंग्लिश एग्ज़ाम वेरी सून. सो एज वी नो कि इंग्लिश एग्ज़ाम में पर्टिकुलरली जो लिटरेचर सेक्शन है हमारा उसमें वी आर गोइंग टू गेट अ वैरायटी ऑफ questions, right? And when we talk about long answer type questions that you're going to get in your English exam, so either they are going to be value based questions or they are going to be character sketch based questions. Now I'm sure आप सबने अपना syllabus अच्छे से पढ़ा है and we know that we are going to be getting character sketch based questions from our supplementary reader, which is Footprints Without Feet. Correct? अब जो आपकी सप्लीमेंट्री रीडर है उसमें जो फर्स्ट चैप्टर है राइट दैट इज अ ट्रायम्फ ऑफ सर्जरी. नाउ व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट अ कैरेक्टर स्केच क्वेश्चन, what do we exactly mean by that particular question? बहुत से बच्चे ये सोचते हैं कैरेक्टर स्केच मतलब ड्राइंग करके आनी है. नो, नॉट एट ऑल. Character sketch is when you have to define a particular character. The traits of that particular character you need to define in that answer. So mostly the character sketch question that we are going to get from our supplementary reader is going to ask you to describe about the person. So हम एक sample question देखते हैं about character sketch. All of you can see this question. It says Mrs. Pumphrey was a kind yet a careless master. Comment. So इस question में हमें क्या पूछा गया है? We've been asked about Mrs. Pumphrey. हमें ये बोला गया है that she was kind and she was careless at the same time. So in this particular kind of question, what is it that we need to do? We need to quote examples from the chapter showing that how Mrs. Pumphrey was kind and at the same time a careless master as well. So let us have a look at our chapter. Okay. Now, जो आपका chapter है, chapter 1, उसमें अगर आप देखोगे you can read this line. Mrs. Pumphrey hastened to explain he was so listless. Listless means very lifeless. So यहाँ पर हमें पता चल रहा है that Mrs. Pumphrey was very kind. Kind towards whom? Her dog Tricky. इसी के साथ if we move further, we will see that what did Mrs. Pumphrey do when Tricky was to be admitted in the hospital for treatment under Dr. Harriet. So what did she do? She had wrapped the dog, that is Tricky, in a blanket, and then it says the entire staff was roused and maids rushed in and out bringing the day bed, night bed, favorite cushions, toys, rubber rings. So base जो Tricky था उसका जो भी फेवरेट सामान था और उसको जिस तरीके से मिसेस पुम्फ्रे यूज टू कीप him, like there was a different day bed, there was a different night bed, there were certain favorite cushions. So all these describe the kindness that Mrs. Pumphrey had towards her dog Tricky. इसी के साथ how was she careless? We have a very a main example from the beginning of the chapter which says that Mrs. Pumphrey started doing. She started giving him some little extras between meals to build him up, some malt and cod liver oil and a bowl of Horlicks at night to make him sleep. Nothing much. So, how do we know that Mrs. Pumphrey was very careless? That she started treating Tricky at home without even consulting from a doctor that why he was so listless. She started consulting him, she started treating him at home. करेक्ट. सो ये हमने कुछ पॉइंटर्स जो हैं वो चैप्टर से पिक कर लिए हैं. सो अब जब हमें आंसर लिखना होगा, आई ऑलवेज टेल माई स्टूडेंट्स दैट इवन इन इंग्लिश यू कैन राइट द आंसर इन पॉइंट्स. दैट इज यू कैन गिव सब हेडिंग्स एंड राइट योर answer. So if we talk about the kindness aspect of Mrs. Pumphrey, first is she would give Tricky his favorite. Alright, then she gave him materialistic pleasures. Uska day bed alag tha, night bed alag tha, right? Then she would inquire about Tricky's recovery. Remember the line from the chapter that says that Dr. Harriet would receive dozens of calls from Mrs. Pumphrey to know about Tricky's recovery. And how do we know that she was careless? Very simple. First, she started home treatment like a lot of us do, you know. If there's someone ill at home, without even consulting the doctor, what do? We start treating the person at home. And of course, she ignored the advice given by Dr. Harriet. What was the advice that Dr. Harriet had given? Had already told Mrs. Pumphrey that if you do not take care of Tricky, then he is likely to fall ill. So character sketch question हमारे पास जब भी आएगा, we need to understand what are the adjectives given in the question, and उसके बाद हमें उन adjectives को कैसे explain करना है through incidents from the chapter, and that's how you will be able to answer the question. Alright, I will see you in the next session. Till then, what you need to do is you need to like, share and subscribe to this video. To this YouTube channel, English Wali Ma'am, and we are going to be discussing a lot about variety of questions. Till then, take care and stay blessed.